Douglas had always been a successful man. His trajectory in the business world was worthy of a self-help book, the kind that inspired young entrepreneurs to pursue their dreams. Tall, with black hair and piercing eyes, his presence commanded respect. Married to Lara for 10 years, they were the perfect couple. He, the successful millionaire. She, the beautiful and intelligent woman who accompanied him to social events, always with a smile on her face and a kind word for everyone. The environment in which they lived was a reflection of their success. The mansion in the hills, overlooking the sea, was decorated with works of art and luxurious furniture. Every detail, from the impeccable garden to the infinity pool, exuded wealth and good taste. But like many things in Douglas's life, not everything was as it seemed. Lara, with her stunning beauty and captivating charm, hid dark secrets. She had a lover, Jonas, an ambitious and unscrupulous man who saw Lara as an opportunity for social advancement. The two devised a perverse plan to eliminate Douglas and take his fortune. Lara, with her enigmatic smile, often watched Douglas while he worked late at night in his office. Without him suspecting a thing, one evening, Douglas was at a business meeting when Lara and Jonas decided it was time to act. "Is everything ready?" asked Lara, with a mischievous glint in her eyes. "Yes," replied Jonas, taking a firm hold of her hand. "He doesn't suspect a thing." When Douglas arrived home, he found Lara waiting for him with a romantic candlelit dinner. "What a nice surprise," he said, smiling. They had dinner and chatted about trivia, while Lara hid her inner tension. After dinner, Lara suggested a special wine. Douglas, trusting his wife completely, accepted the glass offered. Shortly after drinking, he began to feel strange, his senses becoming blurred. "What did you do?" he managed to mumble before passing out. Douglas woke up confused, feeling excruciating pain in his chest. He was inside a coffin, the thin air making it difficult to breathe. Panic gripped his being as he realized what was happening. His screams echoed in a muffled voice, but no one seemed to hear him. However, fate had other plans. Marina, a childhood friend of Douglas, had always had a keen sixth sense. That night, something made her drive to Douglas's mansion. When she arrived, she found the house strangely silent. Sensing that something was wrong, she followed her instinct and entered the house. Marina searched the house until she found the coffin in the basement. Her heart raced when she heard Douglas's faint cries. With all her strength, she managed to open the coffin, finding her friend on the brink of death. "Hang in there, Douglas," she said, her voice shaking. "I'm going to get you out of here." With great difficulty, Marina took Douglas to hospital. There he received the care he needed to survive. As he recovered, anger and sadness mixed in his heart. He had never imagined that Lara would betray him so cruelly. "Why did she do it?" asked Douglas with tears in his eyes as Marina held his hand. "I don't know," Marina replied, her voice soft and reassuring. "But we're going to find out and make sure she pays for it." Douglas knew that his life would never be the same again. The illusions he had about his marriage and his perfect life were shattered. Now all that remained was a burning desire for justice and the need to rebuild his life from the ashes. Douglas remained in hospital for several weeks, recovering both physically and emotionally. During this time, Marina never left his side, showing unwavering support. Her presence brought comfort to Douglas, who felt betrayed and vulnerable. He came to admire Marina's strength and determination, remembering his childhood days when she was always his defender. At the hospital, Douglas began to plan his next move. "I need proof," he told Marina one morning. "I know that Lara and Jonas are behind this, but we need something concrete to bring them to justice." Marina, with her keen intelligence and investigative skills, suggested, "Let's start with the basics. We need to trace Lara's steps and find out how she met Jonas. Maybe we can find some clues that reveal her intentions." With the help of Nathan, a longtime friend and private investigator, they began to gather information. Nathan was a man of few words but extremely efficient at what he did. Tall and robust, with an air of mystery, he had a network of contacts that allowed him to uncover almost anything. "Let's work together on this," said Nathan, when he visited Douglas in hospital. "I won't rest until I see these two behind bars." Douglas, Marina, and Nathan formed an unlikely trio, but with a clear objective. They began to follow Lara and Jonas discreetly. observing their movements and conversations. Every little detail was documented in the hope of finding a loophole. One day, while Marina and Nathan were in a cafe, they observed Lara meeting Jonas. The tension between the two was palpable. "They look nervous," Marina commented, adjusting her sunglasses to disguise it. "Let's follow," Nathan suggested, while quickly paying the bill. Lara and Jonas got into a car and drove to a luxury hotel. Marina and Nathan, keeping a safe distance, watched as they entered the lobby. "We need to know what they're discussing," Marina said worriedly. Nathan used his connections to gain access to the hotel's security cameras. They were able to watch Lara and Jonas arguing intensely in a private room. Through lip reading, Nathan was able to pick up some crucial words. "They're talking about Douglas's money," he said, concentrating. "And it looks like they're planning something else." Meanwhile, Douglas, still recovering, received constant updates from Marina. He felt a mixture of gratitude and helplessness. "I want to be there with you," he said during a video call, "but I know I need to heal first." "We're taking care of everything, Douglas," Marina replied with an encouraging smile. "You concentrate on getting well." As the weeks went by, the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. Nathan discovered that Jonas had a history of financial scams and that Lara was deeply involved in all his schemes. They also found evidence of suspicious bank transfers, which indicated a plan to embezzle Douglas's fortune. Armed with this information, Douglas, Marina, and Nathan decided it was time to confront Lara and Jonas. Tension was high, but Douglas's determination to get justice was even greater. He knew that this confrontation would be crucial to turning the tide and ensuring that those responsible paid for their crimes. That night, as Douglas looked out of the hospital window, he made a promise to himself. "I'm going to get my life and my dignity back," he said, feeling a new strength rise up inside him. "And I'm going to make sure that Lara and Jonas never hurt anyone again." Recovered enough to leave the hospital, Douglas was ready to face his enemies. With the help of Marina and Nathan, he devised a detailed plan to confront Lara and Jonas. They knew they couldn't simply accuse them without irrefutable proof, so they decided to set a trap that would force them to confess. The first part of the plan involved luring Lara and Jonas to an isolated location where they could record their confession without interruption. Nathan, with his manipulative skills, called Jonas pretending to be an investor, interested in his financial schemes. "I have a proposal that you and your partner will find interesting," he said, using a voice that left no room for suspicion. Jonas, always eager for financial opportunities, took the bait. "Where do we meet?" he asked anxiously. Nathan arranged a meeting in a remote country house, ensuring that there would be no unwanted witnesses. Douglas, Marina, and Nathan arrived at the location beforehand, setting up all the recording equipment and making sure they were ready for the confrontation. When Lara and Jonas arrived, they were met by Nathan, who led them into the main room. "Thanks for coming," he said, while Douglas and Marina watched from an adjacent room through a false wall with a two-way mirror. Jonas, with his cynical smile, looked around. "So what's the big plan?" he asked, trying to disguise his curiosity. Nathan, keeping his cool, began to describe a fake investment scheme designed to capture Jonas's interest. During the conversation, he skillfully steered the topic to Douglas's money, knowing it was a sensitive issue. "I hear you have access to a considerable fortune," Nathan said, watching Lara's reaction. Lara, hesitating for a moment, exchanged glances with Jonas. "That's a delicate matter," she replied, trying to keep her composure. Jonas, however, couldn't resist the temptation to boast. "Yes, we have access to a significant amount," he said with a twinkle in his eye, "but that's not something we discuss openly." Nathan kept pressing, asking specific questions about how they got the money. Finally, Jonas, feeling safe and confident, began to speak more freely. "It was a well-thought-out plan," he said, ignoring Lara's warning signs. Douglas never knew what hit him. Lara, sensing the danger, tried to interrupt. "Jonas, watch what we say." But it was too late. Jonas continued, detailing how they had poisoned Douglas and planned his funeral, believing they were free from suspicion. Every word was captured by the recording devices, sealing their fate. When Jonas had finished, Nathan signaled Douglas and Marina. They entered the room ready to reveal the truth. "Surprise," said Douglas, with a firm tone of voice. "So you didn't think you were going to get off so easily, did you?" Lara and Jonas were in shock, unable to answer. "Douglas, are you alive?" murmured Lara, her voice trembling. "Yes, and thanks to Marina and Nathan, I'm here to see you pay for everything you've done," Douglas replied, anger controlled in his eyes. Nathan immediately called the police, who arrived in a matter of minutes. Lara and Jonas were handcuffed and taken to the police station, while Douglas, Marina, and Nathan watched in silence. Justice was finally being served. "This is just the beginning," said Marina, holding Douglas's hand. "We're going to rebuild your life together." Douglas looked at her, feeling a mixture of gratitude and hope. "Yes, we will," he replied, with a genuine smile, "and we'll do it the right way." With Lara and Jonas locked up, Douglas felt an immense weight lifted from his shoulders. However, the pain of betrayal still ran deep. He knew that, in order to move on, he needed to find a new purpose in his life. Marina and Nathan were by his side, ready to support him every step of the way. They decided that the first thing to do was to review all of Douglas's businesses. Many of the companies were under suspicion of irregularities due to the actions of Lara and Jonas. "We need to make sure everything is clean," said Nathan as they went through the documents. "We'll start from scratch if necessary," agreed Douglas, determined to rebuild his fortune honestly. Marina suggested that they dedicate part of the proceeds to a noble cause. "You've always had a generous heart, Douglas. Maybe it's time to use it for something bigger." Douglas, reflecting on Marina's words, remembered an orphanage he and she used to visit when they were children. "How about we start there?" he proposed. "We can help those children have a better future." The orphanage was located in a poor neighborhood of the city. The faded walls and poorly tended gardens were a testament to the difficulties faced by the children and their carers. When they arrived, they were greeted by Anna, the orphanage director, a middle-aged woman with a welcoming smile. "Douglas, Marina, what a wonderful surprise," exclaimed Anna, hugging them. "What brings you here?" "We want to help," said Douglas with a sincere smile. "We know things haven't been easy here, and we want to make a difference." Anna, with tears in her eyes, thanked him. "Any help will be welcome. The children need so much support." Douglas and Marina set to work immediately, using their resources to renovate the orphanage. They painted the walls, refurbished the furniture, and brought in new toys and educational materials. The children's joy at seeing the improvements was contagious. During one of these visits, while watching the children playing on the new playground, Douglas and Marina had a meaningful conversation. "Helping these children makes me feel like I'm doing something really important," said Douglas, with a twinkle in his eye. "It's more than important," Marina replied, smiling. "It's life-changing, both for them and for us." As they worked together, the relationship between Douglas and Marina began to deepen. Their unconditional support and long-standing friendship turned into something more. Douglas, feeling more and more connected to Marina, knew he was falling in love with her. "Marina," he said one day as they walked through the orphanage's renovated garden, "I want to thank you for everything you've done for me. I don't know how I would have got through all this without you." Marina, with a shy smile, replied, "I've always been there for you, Douglas, and I always will be." Douglas held her hand, feeling a deep and true connection. "I know that, and I want you to know that I'll be there for you too, no matter what." They continued to work at the orphanage, but now there was a new flame between them, something that promised a future full of hope and love. As the months passed, the orphanage flourished under Douglas and Marina's care. Not only did the children have a better place to live, but they also received quality education and recreational activities that were previously unimaginable. The positive impact on the community was evident, and Douglas felt he was finally finding a new purpose. One day, while they were reviewing the plans for a new wing of the orphanage, Nathan arrived with a worried expression. "Douglas, we need to talk," he said, pulling him aside. "What's wrong?" asked Douglas, concerned. "I've received some information about other people involved in Jonas's schemes," Nathan replied, handing Douglas a dossier. "It looks like the hole is deeper than we thought." Douglas examined the documents, which revealed a network of corruption and fraud involving several influential businessmen. "This is much bigger than we imagined," he said, sensing the gravity of the situation. "We need to decide what to do with this information," Nathan continued. "And we can take it to the authorities, but we need to be prepared for the consequences." Douglas knew that exposing this network of corruption would mean putting himself in danger again. But he also knew that he couldn't ignore what he had discovered. "We're going to do this the right way," he said, determined. "We're going to hand over this evidence and make sure that everyone involved is held accountable." Marina, upon hearing of Douglas's decision, supported him unconditionally. "I'm with you, Douglas. We need to do what's right." Together, they worked with Nathan to prepare a complete dossier with all the evidence needed for a formal complaint. The tension was palpable, but the determination to do justice was even stronger. On the day the evidence was handed over, Douglas, Marina, and Nathan went to the central police station. "We're doing the right thing," said Marina, holding Douglas's hand. "I know," he replied with a confident smile, "and we're going to make sure that the truth prevails." As they handed over the evidence to the police chief, they felt a mixture of relief and anxiety. "We thank you for bringing this to our attention," said the police chief. "We will investigate and ensure that all those involved are brought to justice." With this important step taken, Douglas felt that a new chapter in his life was opening up. Not only had he found a new purpose in helping the orphanage, but he was also committed to fighting corruption and ensuring that others didn't go through what he had. That evening, as they celebrated the orphanage's success at a small party, Douglas looked at Marina with a feeling of gratitude and love. "Marina, you have been the light in my life during the darkest moments. I want you to know that you mean everything to me." Marina, overcome with emotion, replied, "Douglas, I feel the same way. Together we can face anything." Douglas held her hand, feeling that despite all the challenges, he was finally where he should be. "Marina, I want to spend the rest of my life by your side. Will you accept?" Marina, with tears in her eyes, smiled and said, "Yes, Douglas, yes, 1,000 times yes." As fireworks lit up the sky, Douglas and Marina embraced, ready to start a new life together, with the certainty that even in the most difficult situations, there is hope and new opportunities. After the emotional proposal, Douglas and Marina's lives took a new turn. They dedicated themselves even more to the orphanage, which has become a symbol of hope and renewal for the community. The children, once without prospects, now dreamed of a bright future, inspired by the couple's example of resilience and generosity. As Douglas and Marina prepared for their wedding, news of their fight against corruption and their efforts at the orphanage spread throughout the city. Business people, politicians, and ordinary citizens came together to support the cause, donating resources and time to help the children. The orphanage quickly became a model of excellence, attracting media attention and inspiring other similar initiatives. One sunny afternoon, as Douglas and Marina strolled through the orphanage's garden, Nathan approached them with a pensive look on his face. "I have an idea," he said, looking at the couple with a twinkle in his eye. "Why don't we expand the project? We can open more orphanages in other cities and bring this hope to even more children." Douglas and Marina exchanged glances, enthusiastic about the suggestion. "That's a fantastic idea, Nathan," Marina said excitedly. "We can create a network of orphanages that offer not only shelter, but also education and real opportunities for these children." Douglas, smiling, agreed. "Let's do that. Let's use our influence and resources to make an even bigger difference." And so they began planning the expansion. With the help of Nathan and other partners, they opened new orphanages in several cities, each following the same successful model as the first. The life stories of the children they served became powerful testimonies of overcoming and hope. During this period of expansion, Douglas also decided to restart his business, but with a new approach. "I want my companies to be known for integrity and social responsibility," he told his team. "We're going to invest in projects that benefit the community and guarantee a sustainable future for everyone." Marina, for her part, has used her experience to implement educational programs in the orphanages, focusing on practical and emotional skills. "I want these children to be prepared to face the world," she said, while organizing workshops and activities. Over time, the network of orphanages became a national reference, and Douglas and Marina received numerous awards for their philanthropic work. At an awards ceremony, Douglas gave an emotional speech, thanking everyone who had supported them and emphasizing the importance of never giving up, even in the face of the greatest adversity. "I've learned that life can knock us down, but it can also offer us second chances," he said, looking at Marina with love and gratitude. "And I'm determined to use this second chance to do good." After the ceremony, Douglas and Marina finally had their dream wedding. Surrounded by friends, family, and the children from the orphanage, they celebrated their love and commitment in a simple but meaningful ceremony. Nathan was Douglas's best man, while Anna, the orphanage director, was Marina's godmother. As they exchanged vows, Douglas promised Marina that he would always be there for her, and Marina vowed to stand by Douglas in every battle. "Together we are invincible," said Douglas, sealing the commitment with a passionate kiss. The party was filled with joy, music, and dancing. The children performed a play in honor of the couple, touching everyone present. Douglas and Marina danced until the early hours, feeling more connected than ever. With their marriage and the expansion of the orphanages, Douglas and Marina were experiencing a period of great happiness. However, they knew that the journey still held challenges. The network of orphanages was growing rapidly, and managing so many sites required organization and effective leadership. One morning, while Douglas was reviewing financial reports in his office, Marina walked in with a worried expression. "Douglas, we need to talk about the management of the new orphanages," she said, taking a seat next to him. "What happened?" he asked, attentive. "I've received some complaints about the management of one of the orphanages," Marina replied. "It seems that the funds aren't being used properly and the children aren't receiving the care they should." Douglas frowned. "That's unacceptable. Let's investigate immediately." With Nathan's help, they began an internal audit, visiting each orphanage and talking to the administrators and staff. They discovered that at one of the sites, the administrator was embezzling funds for personal use. They immediately took steps to rectify the situation, firing the person responsible and implementing new policies of transparency and accountability. "We need to make sure this never happens again," said Douglas determinedly. "We'll set up an oversight committee to monitor all the orphanages on a regular basis." Marina agreed, feeling relieved that they had identified the problem quickly. "We're doing the right thing, Douglas. Every challenge we face makes us stronger and more prepared to help the children." In addition, Douglas and Marina decided to involve the community more in the running of the orphanages, forming advisory councils made up of parents, teachers, and local leaders. "We want everyone to feel part of this project," said Marina during a community meeting. "After all, we are all working for the good of our children." With the new structure in place, the orphanages continued to thrive, and Douglas and Marina learned to delegate more responsibilities, allowing them to focus on long-term strategies and the children's personal development. They also started holding fundraising events involving celebrities and public figures to raise awareness and support for the cause. Meanwhile, Douglas and Marina's relationship grew stronger. They learned to balance their responsibilities with moments of leisure and intimacy, enjoying trips and outings together. On one of these trips, during a sunset by the sea, Douglas looked at Marina and said, "I don't know what my life would be without you." Marina smiled, taking his hand. "Me neither, Douglas. We're better together, and we always will be." As the orphanage network established itself as a successful model, Douglas and Marina began to receive proposals for collaboration from various international organizations. Charitable trusts, NGOs, and entrepreneurs interested in contributing to the cause approached them, offering resources and expertise. At one of these meetings, they met Elena, an experienced NGO administrator with vast experience in social projects. Elena was a middle-aged woman with grey hair and kind eyes that exuded wisdom and compassion. "I really admire your work," she said during a business lunch, "and I believe that together we can reach even more children." Douglas and Marina were impressed by Elena's passion and knowledge. "We'd love to work with you, Elena," Marina said enthusiastically. "Your experience will be invaluable to us." With Elena on board, they began to explore new possibilities for expansion, including more advanced educational programs, professional training for teenagers, and partnerships with companies for internships and job opportunities. "We want these children to have all the tools they need for a bright future," said Douglas during a project presentation. Elena also brought new ideas for fundraising, organizing charity events and donation campaigns that attracted international attention. "The key is to create a sustainable support network," she explained. "We need to ensure that our orphanages can continue to operate and grow, regardless of any circumstances." During one of these events, Douglas and Marina were surprised by a visit from Douglas's old friend Richard, an influential businessman who had drifted apart in recent years. "Douglas, I've heard about your work and I'm impressed," said Richard, as he greeted the couple. "I'd like to help in any way I can." Douglas, happy to see his friend again, replied, "All help is welcome, Richard. We're building something big here." Richard not only donated a substantial amount to the orphanages, but also offered his knowledge of business management to optimize the institution's internal processes. "We're going to make sure that every penny is put to good use," he said, while reviewing the financial reports with Douglas. Collaboration with Richard and other new allies breathed new life into the project. Together, they have created an even more ambitious expansion plan, aiming to open orphanages in other countries and take the message of hope and transformation globally. Meanwhile, Douglas and Marina's personal lives continued to flourish. They enjoyed their time together, celebrating every achievement and supporting each other through the challenges. Marina's presence in Douglas's life was a constant source of strength and inspiration, and he knew that with her by his side, they could face any adversity. One quiet evening, as they walked along the beach, Douglas said to Marina, "I feel like we're just getting started. There's so much more we can do." Marina, looking at the horizon, replied, "We will, Douglas. Every step we take is a new opportunity to make a difference, and together we are invincible." Despite all the success and new alliances, Douglas and Marina's journey was far from smooth. New challenges arose that would test their determination and resilience. One morning, while reviewing the orphanage's progress reports, Marina received an urgent call from one of the regional directors. "Marina, we need your help," said the director, his voice heavy with concern. "There's a serious problem at one of the orphanages in the countryside. The children are sick, and we don't know the cause." Douglas and Marina immediately traveled to the site, where they found an alarming situation. Several children were showing symptoms of an unknown illness, and fear was spreading among the staff and residents. "We need to act fast," said Douglas, as he coordinated the relief efforts. With the help of volunteer doctors and public health experts, they began to investigate the source of the illness. Marina, with her background in biology, became directly involved in analyzing the data. "It could be something in the water or the food," she said, while collecting samples for testing. After days of intensive investigation, they discovered that the cause was water contamination from a local factory. "This is unacceptable," said Douglas angrily. "We need to make sure these children are safe." Douglas and Marina contacted the environmental authorities, demanding immediate action against the factory. The local community also mobilized, protesting against the contamination and demanding justice. "United we can make a difference," said Marina during a community assembly. Meanwhile, Douglas ensured that all the children received proper medical treatment and that drinking water was supplied to the orphanage. "We're going to rebuild the water infrastructure here," he promised, while overseeing the installation of new filtration systems. The fight against the polluting factory was long and difficult, but Douglas and Marina didn't give up. With the help of lawyers specializing in environmental rights, they managed to get the factory closed down and held responsible for the contamination. "Justice has been done," said Douglas at a press conference, "but our fight for a safe environment continues."
Despite the adversity, the situation has further strengthened Douglas and Marina's resolve to protect and care for the children. They implemented new health and safety measures in all the orphanages, ensuring that something like this would never happen again. What's more, the experience has also strengthened ties with the local community. "You are real heroes," said one of the mothers from the community, thanking Marina. "We're in this fight together." And Douglas and Marina continued to work tirelessly, but they also learned to value every moment of peace and happiness they found.
One quiet afternoon, as they watched the children playing in the renovated park, Marina said, "These children are our greatest reward. Seeing their smiles is all we need." Douglas, holding Marina's hand, replied, "And we will do everything in our power to protect those smiles, always." With the orphanages running at full capacity and the new security measures in place, Douglas and Marina decided to expand their impact even further. Inspired by the children's stories and the communities they had transformed, they began to explore new projects that could bring lasting benefits. One day, while they were discussing new ideas, Marina suggested, "How about we create a mentoring program? something that connects our young people with professionals from different fields so that they can get a glimpse of the future and learn valuable skills. Douglas loved the idea. That would be amazing, Marina. Practical knowledge and life experiences are just as important as formal education. Let's make it happen. With Elena and Richard's support, they began to design the mentoring program, inviting professionals from various fields to become mentors for the young people in the orphanages. "We want our young people to have every opportunity to succeed," said Richard during a planning meeting, "and I'm willing to use my network of contacts to do that." The mentoring program was launched with great enthusiasm. Entrepreneurs, artists, scientists, and other professionals volunteered to take part, offering their time and expertise to inspire the next generation. The mentoring sessions included workshops, lectures, and hands-on activities that helped young people develop skills and explore their passions. During one of these workshops, Douglas met Carlos, a bright teenager with a keen interest in technology. "I've always wanted to learn more about programming," said Carlos, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. Douglas, who had a strong background in business and technology, decided to become Carlos's mentor. "I'm going to help you, Carlos. We'll work together so that you can follow your dream." The two began meeting regularly, and Douglas taught Carlos the fundamentals of programming and software development. Over time, Carlos developed a remarkable talent and began to create his own projects. "You have a bright future ahead of you," said Douglas proudly. "Never stop dreaming." Meanwhile, Marina was working with young people interested in science and biology, organizing visits to laboratories and universities. "I want you to see what's possible," she said during a visit to a research laboratory. "The world is full of opportunities, and you can achieve them." The impact of the mentoring program was immense. The young people began to believe more in themselves and their abilities, seeing that they could achieve great things with dedication and support. "We're giving them the tools to build a better future," Elena said with emotion. In the midst of all this work, Douglas and Marina didn't forget to take care of their relationship. They continued to find moments of joy together, celebrating every small victory and supporting each other through the challenges. "You're my rock, Marina," Douglas said during a romantic dinner. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Marina, smiling, replied, "And you're my inspiration, Douglas. Together, we're invincible." Over time, the mentoring program grew and became a national reference, attracting the attention of governments and international organizations. Douglas and Marina were invited to share their experiences at conferences and seminars, inspiring others to follow their example. As they traveled the world, Douglas and Marina continued to work tirelessly to improve the lives of children and communities. Every challenge they faced was an opportunity to grow and learn, and every success was proof that, with determination and love, it was possible to transform lives. And so Douglas and Marina's story continued, full of hope and new possibilities. Together, they showed the world that even in the most difficult situations, there was always a path to light and happiness.